Hi, everyone, and welcome into the Unash and Dukes podcast, week 3 commencing. And happy Thanksgiving week to everybody out there. Do appreciate you tuning in as always. And you can do that at any time. You can go back and listen to our archive podcast episodes at crmlivesports.com. Just go there, click on the logo toward the upper left corner of that particular website. You can go to YouTube as well. All the episodes are listed under Unash and Duke's podcast list. And you can go to Facebook and X and everywhere you want to go. We are 24/7, 365, Mark. How are you?
Good. How are you, Scott? I had a great weekend and uh, in many respects, looking forward to a really great sports week.
Yeah, we'll get to that more. This has got to be one of the best sports weeks of the calendar because you have everything. You have obviously college football, you've got the NFL, you've got college basketball, feast week, as they like to call it. Or I think now it's everybody's getting paid for the most part week on top of what they're making out of NIL. But at any rate, a big week, and we will get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But college football to start off with, Iowa and Iowa State, both victorious on senior day in different fashions. Let's just put it that way. UNI tried to make it 3-0, but a spirited comeback against a good Youngstown State team came up a little bit short. Panther season done at 3-9. But starting off in Iowa City, Mark, there's no, I think, way to sugarcoat this. That was ugliness for about what 51 minutes, perhaps, on Saturday afternoon and into the evening, as Michigan State, with a quarterback that I will not even attempt to pronounce, had things going against the Hawkeyes. And Iowa had their back squarely against the wall, to their credit, and to Mark Gronowski's credit, and to Caden Wetjen's credit, among others. Hawkeyes made a spirited comeback to win 20-17 to go to 7-4. And it wasn't easy, though. Was not easy, as Drew Stevens in his final game at Kinnick Stadium, no better way to go out than with a walk-off, and that's what the Hawkeyes did.
You mentioned the two reasons Iowa won this game. Two words, I should say. Caden Wetjen, who has been dubbed by Michael Oss, Gazette Sports columnist, the Wizard of Williamsburg. I think it's very apropos. It really is. And a lot of debate out there about his ranking in the annals of Iowa history as far as punt returners. But as far as this game goes, I have to give Michigan State and Jonathan Smith a lot of credit. They played very spirited ball. This is a team that was 0-7. Iowa knew that, I think. Came in and was a 17-point underdog. And if you've watched 5 minutes of college football, or pro football for that matter, you know that underdogs can win, comebacks can be had. And Iowa did the comeback this time. I mean, when your offense doesn't score until there were 90 some seconds left in the game, that's ugly. It was a slog for the most part, for whatever reason. You can't expect to be a football team to be up week after week after week. I mean, playing Oregon, playing Southern Cal, then playing a game, you expect to win. Not to make excuses for Iowa, but it was pretty poor for a long time. But in the end, Gronowski delivered some passes. Reese Vanderzee and Jacob Gill, terrific catches. The defense got back-to-back 3-and-outs, and it all added up. I mean, there's a reason there's 60 minutes in football. There's a reason there's 18 holes in golf. There's a reason there's 9 innings in baseball. There's a reason there's 40 minutes in college basketball. And it doesn't matter what happens in those time frames. You add it up at the end, and that's what you get.
Yeah, and much like the Oregon game when the Oregon quarterback delivered a terrific pass and a terrific catch on the last drive, the game-winning drive. You mentioned Mark Gronowski, and all of a sudden, after struggling and struggling, and the Iowa offense struggling, everybody seemingly struggling, boos cascading down at Kinnick Stadium, and all of a sudden on the last drive, lo and behold, two of the best passes that Mark Gronowski has thrown in his Iowa career, basically back to back, and getting Iowa into a tie situation before Drew Stevens' heroics toward the end. But yes, Reese Vanderzee made a heck of a catch. Jacob Gill made a heck of a catch. Those were not easy catches, certainly. Um, and you're right, you can't get up for every game. And with Oregon, USC, both close losses, Iowa finally got a one-score win. Everybody should be excited and happy about that. But be sandwiched between those two games and a rivalry game on Black Friday coming up this week against Nebraska. Yeah, the I'm not going to say the Daubers were down or anything like that, but psychologically, against a Michigan State team that is pretty mediocre, Iowa looked like they just weren't up for it, despite being senior day. And we both gone through senior days, Mark. It's a different day. It's a very emotional day. That's why a lot of high school coaches don't have it on the last day. They have it in the middle of the season or toward the beginning of the season because they don't want to go through an emotional grinder like Iowa did or others do. But it's a win. It was an ugly win. No one is giving it back in Iowa City, and you get ready to go to Lincoln now.
I think a lot of Iowa fans had their hair on fire for much of that game. If I look at social media and some of the reactions, it's just so up and down. I remember the Southern Cal game. I was up 21-10 at halftime. Man, this team looks great. And then the second half came. That's my point about taking the totality of the game. No, it wasn't pretty. Maybe Michigan State deserved to win. That's debatable. But in the end, Iowa did get it done. And some people are dumping on Mark Gronowski in the passing game. It isn't very good. We can't sugarcoat that. But if anybody that knows football knows that it's not only the guy throwing the football, it's the protection that he gets, it's the plays that are called, it's the defenses that are stacked against him. A lot of factors go into it. At the end of the day, if people thought they were going to get Dan Marino when they got Mark Gronowski, they were dead wrong. The guy has had one 300-yard passing game in his entire long college football career. And that was 3 years ago against Missouri State. He wasn't going to come in and light the world on fire through the air. He's a football player who plays quarterback. And I think the passing game deserves criticism. Gronowski individually, it depends on what your expectations were of him.
Yeah, and I think you make a very good point and a valid point. I mean, he's started what the most games of any quarterback in college football history, and he's got one 300-yard game. And I didn't go back and look into that game against Missouri State way back then, but you're right. You weren't going
I
to get
didn't
a
dive too deep into it, I'll tell you
no,
that.
especially since Missouri State's now D1. By the way, winning 7 games this year. I don't think they're bowl eligible though. They got that transition period that they got to go through. But getting back on track here, you're right. If people expected Mark Gronowski to wing the ball all over the place, that was not what they should have thought going in. This might be Tim Lester's type of quarterback, though. A guy that can throw for 150 yards and run in certain situations. And Gronowski's legs helped Iowa in the fourth quarter. There's no doubt. Michigan State had Iowa flummoxed for a while, to be honest with you. And Michigan State should keep Jonathan Smith, by the way. Sidebar story. Don't get rid of this guy after 2 years. You got enough problems on the football side of things up in East Lansing. don't try to bring in another person. But I thought Michigan State played very spirited. Iowa was very fortunate to come out of there. And you're right. The Wizard of Williamsburg struck. And more on the Wizard coming up. But got to get to Ames, Iowa State, 38-14, and a game that was much kinder on the old ticker than it was in Iowa City. This was a game Iowa State controlled from the get go, and just really they punched Kansas in the nose, ears, eyes, throats, and face, coming out with a long, sustained drive. Carson Hansen was terrific. Rocco Beck's best game in a long, long time. First win at home, I think, since late September for Iowa State, and now 7-4. And I we should not, just like Iowa and Michigan State, Mark, we can't just say 8-4 because they're going to Stillwater. Oklahoma State gave Central Florida everything they wanted down in Orlando, but let's face it, Oklahoma State's bad. They're playing out the string. Iowa State should end up at 8-4. This is what the Cyclones needed. That was, I'm not going to call it a laugher, but they got a lot of guys in on senior day. And when you have a senior day 24-point win, you're very happy.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get coming out of a bye week. Kansas had one as well, but this was plain and simple a solid performance by Iowa State in all aspects. A running game, passing game, defense. It's exactly what Iowa State needed, and uh, should finish 8-4. We shall see about that this coming weekend, but uh, I thought very impressive performance by Iowa State.
Yeah, it was. And not going to go to the Big 12 championship game with 4 losses all in the conference, but Iowa State's going to be going somewhere nice over the holidays, and which which brings us back to where, just for a moment, there's some speculation on how it plays out. But if you're an Iowa State fan, everyone seems to have the Cyclones penciled into Memphis again. Is that a fair spot? And for the third time to take on the home Memphis Tigers, I mean, that's a been there, done that situation. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad bowl game, Mark. We've heard that many, many times. But I don't know. If I'm an Iowa State fan, I think I'm a little disappointed if it ends up in Memphis again.
Well, a lot's going to be sorted out in this the final games of the regular season and in the conference championship games. The latter, meaning if there's an upset, then teams fall down the pecking order, whatnot. But I looked around at various sites and the predictions and speculation, and the Liberty Bowl is one that's mentioned for Iowa State. But the three that have been mentioned at various publications, none of them are advantageous, I don't think. One of them's the Alamo Bowl against Southern Cal. That's okay. I think Iowa State could match up with USC. Another one is the Texas Bowl against Texas. I don't think that'd be very advantageous. And I don't think the Liberty Bowl is too appealing. Again, things will be sorted out here, but that's what you have for speculation right now.
Well, rivalry week has to take place first, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of things that can happen. And we'll get to that coming up. For Iowa, um, first of all, you got to see how things go Friday at 11 o'clock in Lincoln, because the winner of Iowa Nebraska is going to have a better bowl selection than the loser will
You
have.
think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's like Captain Obvious right there. But
Well,
Iowa
they
can,
both they both finished 7-5. Who's the better football team? I know one
well,
would have beaten the other, but
yeah. Well, if
I don't know.
Iowa, whoever wins is going to get 8. We know that,
Yeah.
right? So Tampa probably out. Illinois looks like they may be slated for Tampa again. So that leaves Iowa and Nebraska in a group of games that would be the Music City Bowl again in Nashville. Great place to go. Phoenix, for the what rate bowl, I believe it is. Now, if you're a White Sox fan, do you get in half price? No, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. And then also, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, Mark. Las Vegas. Las Vegas. I think the winner of Iowa, Nebraska might end up in Las Vegas on New Year's night, New Year's Eve night.
Yeah, the three I've seen, you mentioned the Las Vegas, and the opponent would be Utah. Interesting. Music City, a team like LSU, which is kind of don't know what they're doing there at LSU. And the other is the ReliaQuest against a team like Tennessee or Vanderbilt. I don't think you want to see Tennessee again right away.
I don't think you want to see Diego either.
No, but Vanderbilt would be a new opponent. 66% chance it's probably going to be an SEC team. But I think I would welcome a trip to Vegas and play Utah. Great destination and an interesting opponent.
Now, Utah's, first of all, got to be there. Who knows with the college football playoff? Uh, could be with everything going on in the ACC right now. I mean, they are just absolutely destroying each other. I think ACC's got to be at 1 right now. There's even talk of 0 out of the ACC. I don't know how that happens because I thought that the conference champion goes. Maybe I got to read the fine print. I don't know. They're talking about 2 group of 5 teams going instead of an ACC team. I think we everyone is in agreement that it's 1 ACC team, right?
At the most, I think. I'd have to read the fine print as well. Maybe you have to be a certain top 25 in the college football rank. I don't know. But the ACC isn't very good and probably only deserves 1 at most. I think the Big 12 is probably going to get 1, right?
I think
SEC
they
is
could
going to
get
get,
2. I
they
think
could
they
get
could get
2.
2.
They could get 2, but the SEC is going to have 4 or 5. The Big Ten's going to have 3 or 4,
Notre Dame.
probably 3. But we'll see how it pans out. But ACC is a little brother in this whole mess.
What either the Big Ten, if the Big 12 gets 2, then either the Big Ten or the SEC falls to 3. Because Notre Dame's there ain't. Notre Dame is.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just scored again, by the way, against Syracuse. That was ugly. That was ugly for everybody to watch. And so it's going to be a very interesting week. And I think the championship games are going to mean a little bit more this year. The Big 12 championship game is going to be huge if it ends up with the rematch of BYU Texas Tech. So, which I think it will, by all indications, will be that way. But um, Texas Texas A&M this week. I mean, everything has got a connotation with the college football playoff. Let's get back to the Wizard of Williamsburg. By the way, very good sobriquet there from Mr. Halas before he departs in a week. But a lot of speculation. Of course, the broadcast on Saturday made mention many times that with the return for a touchdown, Caden Wetjen passed Tim Dwight for the all-time mark at the University of Iowa. And you know what we do when that happens, don't you, Mark? What does social media do? Well, we got to compare everything. And who's better, the Wizard of Williamsburg or maybe one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of the state of Iowa in Tim Dwight? And let the speculation continue, Mark, because Caden Wetjen versus Tim Dwight, you like to have both back there. I know that. That's tough. I thought about that long and hard over the weekend and up to the beginning of this podcast. And you can't go wrong with either one, I don't think.
You can't go wrong with Cooper DeJean or Charlie Jones either. Iowa's had a good lineage of kick returners. I think this is the comparisons are unfair to Caden Wetjen. Why can't we just embrace the fact that he's had a hell of a season and a hell of a career? as a walk-on from Iowa Central and going back to Williamsburg. Undersized with tremendous speed, and all he's done is break Dwight's records. That's saying something. But you get into comparisons. Who is the Big Ten kick return specialist named after?
Tim Dwight.
Tim Dwight and Johnny Rogers. Um, Now Wetjen is going to win his second Jet Award. He was named a finalist for that award. He's going to win a second. The Jet Award was not around when Tim Dwight was playing. Um, so you can compare all you want. I prefer to just embrace the fact Wetjen has had a heck of a career at Iowa and meant a lot in this particular game against Michigan State. He meant everything in this particular game, and he's really not done yet. A winter team's not going to kick to him.
God, that was my question. What are you doing?
He's mastered the fair catch signal though.
True. True. Hey, by the way, I saw an invalid fair catch signal given this weekend, and they called it. So Iowa fans may have felt better about that. But I'm with you. I mean, this guy has done tremendous things for Iowa in his career, and he's going to end up more than likely. I mean, Charlie Jones is still returning kicks, and I saw him in the game on Sunday for Cincinnati going in the end zone to catch a pass. Guy's still in the NFL because he's a heck of a kick returner. Yes, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but there are small guys, if you will, that return punts and kickoffs in the NFL. It is a skill. Caden Weejan's probably going to make an NFL team next year. Don't you think?
Is he going to play 10 years in the NFL like Dwight did?
Not
I
sure
don't
about
know.
that.
I mean, this is all. I hope he does. I hope he gets every opportunity and runs with it, so to speak. Uh, but it's recent. It's called recency bias. I mean, just because Drew Stevens broke Nate Kading's records, does that mean Stevens is better than Nate Kading? Or Chuck Hartley broke some of Chuck Long's records. Is Chuck Hartley a better quarterback than Chuck Long? And Torrey Taylor was a wonderful punter. Is he better than Reggie Roby, who averaged 50 yards a punt back when some of you weren't even born? Yeah, it's called recency bias. Let's just embrace the great performances as they come. But look at us. We've been debating it for a little while here.
I'm not going to say which one is better. I'm not.
Wetjen or Dwight?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Dwight did everything that Wetjen did. Wetjen, has a couple more touchdowns, but Dwight also was a receiver.
And a running
And
back.
and Wetjen has Dwight had like 20 touchdowns as a receiver in the NFL. So he was more than a returner. Wetjen has become more than a returner. He's gotten more involved in the passing game and reverses and whatnot. He hadn't up till this year. So I think Dwight was, they're both great returners. DeGene was as well. Charlie Jones was. I think if you give me one punt return, you take Dwight and I'll take Wetjen and we'll call it a day. Okay.
Tim Dwight also with a return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Cannot forget about that either. Both very good. And I think you're right, spot on with the recency bias. I mean, that's the world we live in. Um, when we look back on that time, I mean, people were comparing Tim Dwight to Niall Kennick. Nobody saw Niall Kennick play. That was comparing, but you and I both were there, and we lived through that particular era. And you can't go wrong with that debate. You can't go wrong with this debate.
No, I've yet to meet anybody that was around when Niall Kinnick played and saw him play, at least today. So, yeah, the record's there. I forget who broke Kinnick's punt return record. Was it Luke King or somebody like that? I don't remember for sure, but that's a natural thing to do. When somebody has a record and somebody surpasses it, well, they're in the same category. Oftentimes, that's not the case.
Records are meant to be broken, and they're going to continue. And somebody's going to come along someday and probably beat Caden Weegen's record.
I mean,
And
Mark Gronowski has the most wins of any player in college football history. Does that mean he's the best player or best quarterback? I don't think anybody's saying that. It's a record.
and
Okay.
that's a record that probably is going to stand
Mm-hmm.
for. I mean, now you can play with the playoff. If you go to your conference championship game, 16, 30, it can be broken, but you're going to have to go pretty much 4 years straight, all the way at least to the semifinals of the college football playoff and not lose more than one game in the season. That's
Yeah.
the only way Mark Gronowski's record gets broken. No one's going to break Kirk Ferentz's record for wins in the Big Ten, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. If
I think
somebody
that's a
does it, probably it'll be long after we're gone, Scott.
I know. I think that's a record that's going to, because no coach is going to hang around or be around for
No,
25 years.
no, no.
Not in this day and age. I mean, that's a rarity for Kirk Ferentz, among others. That happened. Big thanks to our great sponsors. We should give them a tip of the cap here. Our presenting sponsor, Emil's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Lindale Mall next to the Home Depot. They're open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. They got a perfectly a great fully stocked bar. Bring the whole family in for a meal or wet your whistle at that bar. There's a great menu, and it's a classic local American restaurant. If you need catering, give them a call as well. They can cater your party, whatever you've got going. Give them a call over there at Emil's Hideaway. Also, a big thanks to some of our other great sponsors, Vim Ritter Sportswear in Cedar Rapids, as well as Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, and Dr. John Wolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. So thanks to all of those folks for helping us out. And we will talk to Mark, I assume. We are on Wednesday. Is that correct? We haven't reached out to him yet, but I think he can do that unless he's still in the deer stand somewhere.
Cyhawk Week. I think he'll be here.
I think he'll be here after between Pitt and Iowa State coming up. And that's a good segue, Mark. It's a great week for sports. Starts today, all kinds of great basketball. Now, it's a little different in the past. A lot of people are saying that the Maui Invitational, which was once, well, if you go back to our time, Mark, here we go again. We're not saying get off my lawn or anything like that, but we're just talking about there were two Thanksgiving week basketball tournaments. You had the preseason NIT and you had the Great Alaska Shootout. And everybody wanted to go to Alaska. Now, I don't even think it's around. I think if it's around, it's a D2 tournament now. And nobody wanted to play Alaska Anchorage either in that
No.
tournament. But now you've gone from that to Maui taking over, being the granddaddy for about 2 decades. And now Maui might be on the back burner because they are not paying the teams and the individuals. Much like the national duels in wrestling, you've got the big 2 tournaments out in Las Vegas, of which Iowa State is playing St. John's today, as a matter of fact. We'll play Creighton tomorrow, but not only does your team get paid, but the players get paid. And it's a brave new world we're living in, but it's still a great start to the week to have college basketball from 11 in the morning until about midnight for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah, I was watching Seton Hall and NC State before we started this, and there's a whole lot of college basketball today, tomorrow, the next day, on through the week. And of course, we've got college football and the NFL, Iowa on Friday. got NFL on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and Iowa State wrestling on Sunday as well. Just a jam-packed week of sports, and uh, get your remote ready.
You got a lot of things to watch.
Yeah.
There's gonna there's some great rivalries. Nothing better than Ohio State, Michigan. It's got a lot on the line, especially for uh, the Michigan Wolverines. They could spoil the party if things go play out in a specific way of what everyone is looking forward to on December 6th with Ohio State and Indiana battling again in Indianapolis. So Michigan has done this to Ohio State before, Mark, several times, and Ohio State's done it to Michigan several times. And I also have to do my tradition, and I'm not a big Ohio State Michigan Buckeye or Wolverine fan or follower, but the Big Ten Network always shows the 10-year war documentary between Woody and Bo. That is one of the better documentaries that was put together. That's a must watch this week as well. If you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor and see it.
Well, we kind of lived through that era, so it's fun to revisit that. Ohio State, Michigan. I think Ohio State, like it has before, would trade a loss to Michigan for a national championship. But I think Ohio State still wants to beat Michigan pretty badly, and Michigan does as well. I think Ohio State should win this game, but like last year, you don't know. And you talk about Iowa, Nebraska. What a great rivalry! Hopefully, Nebraska captains will shake the hands of Iowa captains this year. But got a lot of great rivalries. A&M and Texas, you mentioned, and on and on and on. But it's a good weekend for those rivalries.
Arizona and Arizona State play a big one on
Yeah.
Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Not chief among those rivalries is Iowa State, Oklahoma State. I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
It's not that one just doesn't roll off the tongue with the same venom as others. It's very unusual when the Iron Bowl is is not even talked about, and no one is mentioning Auburn and Alabama this
Yeah.
year. Auburn's got to beat Alabama to go to a bowl game this year. Um, so,
You got the Egg Bowl, I think, this
yep.
week. Yeah.
Who
And
knows
with
how
the
Lane Kiffin is going to come out of
Lane
that thing?
Kiffin's going to be back or not. That's a storyline. So yeah, a lot of great games in the lineup this week.
By the way, can we end the speculation of Matt Rule being the new Penn State coach after Saturday night?
He should concentrate on being the Nebraska coach.
I don't.
But on the other hand, should Terry Smith be the Penn State coach?
That's who
A
the
lot of
players
folks,
want.
they do, but I don't think it's going to go that way. Unfortunately,
I cannot
he
see
doesn't
it.
have the panache.
No. And it was the same thing. I harken back to the late 80s, early 90s when Frank Gans, the great special teams coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, had the best special teams and was appointed the head coach the next year because that's who the players wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't go well.
Well, the players might have wanted James Franklin too, and that didn't turn out so well.
No.
He's now at Virginia Tech.
And making a lot of money on both of those teams. Brian Kelly was not able to attend senior night for his son at Baton Rouge on Saturday night. I thought that was sad.
Didn't know that. It is sad.
It is sad. He did. I think he was allowed to attend. I think he chose not to attend. It was only his mother, and his son wore a Save BK T-shirt that he was showing underneath. I don't know. He's doing fine. The Kelly family is doing okay. Hey, congratulations to the Cohawks, who not only won, but won in a big fashion over Concordia, Wisconsin, in the opening round of the Division III football playoffs. And Co gets to go to Bethel now on the road one more time. So best of luck to Coach Staker and the Co-Hawks to get that first win in about a decade under their belts. And I think they got a heck of a shot at this one too.
Yeah, Bethel's undefeated, but Bethel's at home, and I'm actually I don't know how that all is decided, but it would have been nice to see that 44-7 win for Co at home at Clark Field. But I don't know how that all. It was at Concordia, but to win a second, it obviously gets more difficult each round. Wartburg is going to be in action this week after a bye on the D3 playoffs, and Co's after a couple losses has really put together a very nice season, and be wonderful if they win another one. But if they don't, it's still a heck of a season.
It is. And you'll have your maroon on Saturday.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
Yeah. And your orange and blue on Sunday. Bears play Sunday?
They play Friday.
Friday. They are on Black Friday.
Friday against the Eagles, and I wish the season could stop now.
I after the Chiefs got a one-score win finally, and that was ugly, but the Colts are good. I felt bad for America because I thought Nance and Romo were rooting for the Chiefs in a big, big way, but we Eastern Iowa didn't get to see it. You had to take that had to be a source of pride for you, Mark. That Channel 2 showed the Chicago Bears game on Sunday over the Chiefs game.
Well, why wouldn't they? No, that's a shame. I think the Vikings and the Lions were on the other network, and did get to see the finish of the Chiefs game, which was really, really good. It went into overtime, and Chiefs aren't out of it. They got to pass like a couple, three teams, but 6 games left. I wouldn't bet against the Chiefs.
Cowboys this week, though, and the Cowboys, short week on the road. Cowboys very seldom lose on Thanksgiving. And they're the greatest team in the world after their comeback yesterday. But it's a toss-up between the Cowboys being the greatest team in the world and Shedeur Sanders being the greatest quarterback ever play the game. So that shifted in 6 days, didn't it?
It's called recency bias once again.
And by the way, he wasn't that great yesterday. he threw a 6-yard pass and the guy went 67 yards.
Passing yards add up on those plays, don't they?
They do in a big, big way. But Dion was happy. Jerry was happy. Everybody was happy over the weekend. So, all right. Well, again, a big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Emil's Hideaway. We'll be with everyone on Wednesday, Mark, before Thanksgiving.
Sounds good, and be a good way to go into the holiday weekend, and we'll talk a lot of wrestling that day and maybe touch on a couple other things.
And we will share, Thanksgiving Day recipes, right?
I think they're in the cupboard right over there. I'll do some research.
Do some research. We got people.
We got people.
All right. Thanks, Mark. See you later in the week.
Talk next time.
All right. You've been watching and listening to the Unash and Dukes podcast presented by Emil's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.